Hi everyone, my name is Seungmee Lee. I'm a product designer at Figma working on DevTools. I've been such a big fan of this whole series, and I've been really enjoying all the talks, especially around like all the nitty-gritty parts about how amazing projects are done, or just behind the scenes of like the projects that we see on Twitter, like those cool projects. We always see those results. So that's what I decided to do today. I'm gonna also like show a little bit of like behind the scenes of my favorite project. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. And just a little bit about my background before I jump into this project. So I'm actually coming from industrial design. So one of the reasons why I switched more to interaction design was that I didn't really enjoy the fact that there are a lot of constraints about when you're designing physical products. There are materials that you need to care about, manufacturing process. Of course, depending on what you choose, cost also changes. So there are not a lot of like wiggle room you can like play around in this like physical products. So when I was switching to interaction design, like imagining all the like infinite space in our screen that I can play with, like I was imagining, oh, I can do whatever I want with these pixels. I was just so excited. As I go a little deeper into this industry, I realized that that's not entirely true. But at the same time, I think there's something still true. I think we are not utilizing all the infinite space that we have on the screen. And that's what I've been kind of interested in by myself, that how, like just thinking about how our digital interfaces can feel more natural, fun, or delightful. So I've been doing a little silly or interesting project by myself. So these are some projects that I'm gonna show today. So there are a few things that I enjoy kind of playing around, and the first topic is shadow. This is a shadow that we are all familiar with. Like this, we see this shadow in kind of like perfect world where like there is a background and there is a like perfect parallel like surface on it that's hovering on there, and shadow is playing a big role to like make that depth into the space. But if you think about all the shadow we see in the real life, that looks a little different. So usually depending on the shape of the surface, like the shape of the shadow also changes, and it's not always like static, it moves. And also, as you can see, it's not just about the like rectangle shape. Depending on what object it is or what light it is, also the shape of the shadow also changes. So these are some of the details I really had fun like playing around, just adding those like little shadows, like here, like adding a flyer like that has a tear up that's kind of moving around, or like this booklet that has a kind of shadow that like adds a little more depth into when you're flipping the pages, or even this one that has nice little shadow. Show me, can you? Okay, yes, like showing this nice shadow of like tree, as if like it's showing how the time of the day is changing. So I've been having fun like playing around this like shadows, and I want to show you how these are done in the background. So first one is this booklet that you just saw. So it's actually one of the templates I designed for designer or illustrators to use, so that it pulls the like color, so that if depending on who you are creating, depending on what kind of project you have, it will have different colors. And why it's not loading? Let's see. This is how all the demo usually goes. You know that, right? Sure. Come on, Erica. Come on. Let me see what's going on. Can I actually do that? Let's see. Wi-Fi is not helping me today. Okay, let's wait a little bit. Let's be patient. Huh.
We're going directly to the Versailles app.
Let me see, actually. Can I switch to my, oh, I don't think I can switch to my hotspot. Oh, maybe I'll just give you a quick preview. Like this is not the design I wanted to show, but it does the job. So as you can see, there is a little bit of shadow effect going on that adds a little more depth into like the animation going on. And it's a little hard to see, but let me actually turn off the shadow. Without the shadow, it lose all the depth that you just saw and felt, and it just all of a sudden this like animation starts to feel like just is squeezing like vertically. But just by starting to add this shadow effect, it starts to add like more context to what kind of animation that you are trying to create. And what's happening here is that it's not like usual CSS shadow that we are using. There is actually, so there is another rectangle that is the same size as the actual paper. And then when it's flipping, it's just like kind of skewing. It's using the like library called motion, and it's just skewing and also fading out altogether. It sounds very simple, right? It's actually really simple, but just by adding that, it starts to create a little more like human touch to the like interaction here. And next one, like there is this kind of tree shade that you just saw. So depending on time of the day, it kind of rotates as if the light is changing over the day. So what's happening behind the scene here is that when I turn on the debug mode, so I'm using the library called React3Fiber, which is the library that you use to build this 3D websites that you see. And I'm kind of using it in a weird way because I'm not really showing actual 3D objects in the scene. As you saw, like there are 3D objects and they're not even like the shape of tree or anything. Those are random floating spheres and random plants. And there is like this red lines are the light of like the direction of the light. So what's happening is these lights are just kind of rotating to show, like change the angle of the shadow. And just by cropping it so that you don't see that ugly shapes, like now you start to get this nice like shade effect on your website. Next topic is color. Every designer loves color, like playing around with color, and I do as well. And I think color is interesting thing to like play with, especially because if you think about image is also consisting of all the like different colors in every pixel. That means that you can extract the color from those images to like apply on your interface. And also color is a number as well. You can translate into like number, like RGB or HSL. So that means that you can calculate and just kind of manipulate this as a number instead of just seeing as static value. So those are some of the examples when it comes to like playing with like colors. So for example, this is part of the other like clock interface that part of the same project that you just saw with the shade, the shadow, like tree shadow. So this is the word clock I designed so that you can see the like different light of the different like cities more visually. So as you can see, the colors here are kind of like changing, like transitioning nicely between different time based on the slider that I'm like dragging around. And also this one, oh, that's pretty loud. Well, yeah, it's fine. So this is a music like visualizer that I'm using in my house. So it's actually connected to my Spotify, and the color of this LP changes depending on the song because it's tracking the color of the album cover that the song is from. And it's also using this kind of similar effect, but for the sake of time, I might skip it. Let me see if I can play it. Yeah, this one is also using the similar effect of extracting the color, but due to like to create a nice transition from image to like blob, it's actually fading the image out and then using the average color from the image so that it creates much more like nice transition. So let me talk a little bit more about details of how these things are done. So to take a closer look at this kind of where the sky kind of clock. So depending on the time of the day, the shape of this also moves, but also the colors are transitioning pretty nicely. And it's more obvious when I unblur things. So it's very simple. It's just like the rectangles moving around, but changing the color depending on the time. And how I'm doing this is there are just set of like color stopped I defined. And depending on where you're at in the timing frame of like 24 hours, so midnight is 0 and another midnight is like 1. And depending on where you are at, so it will show the color calculated based on the function here. And although I'm calling this as color interpolation, that's what I'm doing here. But if you see this more visually, it's actually just gradient, but I'm just choosing to show like one color at a time. And depending on where you are at, so it just extract the color that we should show based on that function. It's pretty nice. And then the second one here, there should be an image if the Wi-Fi is working. Oh no, oh no, this is tragic. Can I? Can I? Oh
I
no.
want to try a different Wi-Fi.
I'm using the guest one.
Let's
Is there
try it.
another one?
There's a pro one. This way.
All right.
There's God mode.
Let's see.
I think you have to reload.
Oh yeah, let me try. Let's see if that helps.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
there we go.
Nice.
So you guys are using the good Wi-Fi, like among us,
sorry.
you guys,
We'll fix
and
it.
not us. So yeah, this is the music visualizer that you just saw now. And as you can guess, it's extracting the color from this image. The background color here is based on the average color from this image. And this purplish line is the most prominent color from this image. And the second one is the second prominent colors. And as you scroll through, I'll also turn on debug. So these two are the most prominent colors from the image based on the library that I'm using. So that's how it's giving a kind of nice color background changing based on the color. But also interesting thing is the library that I'm using is called color.js. And it's pretty lightweight library that you can use to extract the average color or prominent color. And as you can see, I would say the most prominent color in this image is green, but if you do the calculation, it's not true because actually there are a lot of this kind of black colors here. So based on this logic, the black is the most prominent color. But if I switch the group value to let's say 100, it started to detect different color because it's now start to group more number, it increased the amount of number that you treat as one group. So if you see more closely, these are a lot of different color actually, although it looks like black, but now it starts to just group everything in one group. Then you can extract other color as a prominent color. That's how you start to find the right value to make sure that you get the most prominent color that you perceive. And last topic, since you saw that I'm interested in color, of course, I also like playing with the gradient as well. And one day I had a weird, motivation that, oh, I want to make a noise gradient. I think I saw a random image that has nice gradient with the nice grainy noise effect. It was pretty sure it was Photoshop, so I couldn't make it, but I wanted to somehow make it with code so that I can change the color or shape and effect by myself. So that's where I started, and I went through different experiments to achieve that. So I'll just start from my first failure to last success. So first one, I started with this radial gradient and adding this kind of animated noise onto it. So, no, I'm not gonna go into the quiz, sorry. But yeah, so I'm busy with noise. So yeah, this one is adding a animated noise. But as you can see, the radial gradient is still pretty standardized shape. So it was not what I was really looking for. And then my next attempt was using this particle. So you have more particles on this axis, and if you have least particles on the below, so that creates kind of nice gradient. But it was not exactly what I was looking for, and the performance really bad. This lagginess is not what I intended. It was just laggy because of the performance issue. So I had to move on to another approach. And at this point, I started to work with other developer who was also interested in creating this weird gradient. And we happened to learn more about WebGL or shader. We didn't know what that is at the time, but we learned that it's a way to create fancy performance graphic in more performative way. So it kind of calculates the shape or color so that you can render it on the computer. So what we did was creating a 3D geometry like a plane and then apply the noise on the shape. So you start to create I see this kind of wave shape. And then when we add the color on top of it, so as you can see, as it goes below, gets closer to the color A. As it goes up, it gets closer to the color B. So that's how it creates this kind of shape. It looks random, but as you zoom in, it kind of looks like gradient. It starts to look like gradient. So that's where I started, oh, this is where I want to go. So I started digging more into it and eventually found a way to like add like 3 colors as a gradient. So how these 3 colors map into this shape. And then when I was ready, I added noise. But it was kind of disappointing to me because it felt like the window is dirty or something. Like it didn't have the effect that I was looking for. But as we also, again, like research it more and find a different approach, what we ended up doing was using a halftone effect. I'm not sure if you know, but the halftone effect is the effect that you are familiar from the printing. Like kind of you see like different circles split with the different colors. That's the effect that I applied. And then it didn't like mess up with the color, but it successfully add the grain that I was looking for. So this was what it looked like. So we ended up creating this kind of React component that you can change the values or colors. So something like this, or yeah, you can like play with different colors, shapes, speed, or different like shape of it. So this was what we ended up like making. So the plan was to like use it to like make a website or something just to show off that we can do this. And then we posted some videos online, and then there were people interested in how they can use it as well. So something that we started like thinking, oh, it's just for me, it's just for fun. And I ended up like realizing that there are a lot of other me who are looking for the similar thing. So that's when we switched our gear to like make it more like a tool or product. So we started to add like more controls that people can understand and use. So we started just making it usable. Like we just added the number, like, those controls. But as you just saw, it was actually 3D object. So it's really hard to control X, Y, Z value just by seeing this number when you are trying to crop it different way. So we tried to make it easier and better to use. So for example, we added this kind of control so that you can just drag to like adjust the angle of it and just crop it as you want, so that you don't need to think about X, Y, Z, all these things while you're just trying to use this gradient. And also, let me see if I can do this. No. Yeah, we also added like the supports like you had to extract like 40 seconds to like have a long gradient, but we ended up adding a loop support so that you can just extract 5 seconds to have infinitely moving gradient. Yeah, this was what I was trying to get to. And then we also started to think about what kind of workflow people would use this. And one thing was that people would start to like find the color or shape that they want to use for their project, but there was no way you can save it or share it like to like use it in your project. So, and also we didn't want you to just sign up or sign in to save just the gradient. So what we end up doing was adding all this value, the property value into the URL, so that whenever you change the value, it will be saved in the URL. So if you just copy that URL into like web page, you'll exactly save that the gradient that you created and also use it on your other products, like on the React component or Figma plugin and all this. So yeah, these were the things that I wanted to share, and I want to end with 2 closing thoughts. And the first thing is that I know everyone is now a little stressed about all these AI tools. Oh, should I learn code and all this? But I think one thing I want to like mention is that this allows us to like do more and faster. Of course, we can like designers can now implement the design, UI, all this. But also we can think about how we do things that we used to do differently, or like like just push the boundary of craft further. Like you can rethink about like the buttons that you used to make. Like is it like really the best approach to use button here? Maybe there are other ways too. So I think it's also a good reminder to think about that. And then second one is that I think sometimes we think you'll be the only user for your silly experiment, but a lot of times you'll find another you, like online, like everywhere, there will be people who like resonate with what you're trying to do. So I think it's also important to just build and also share and make it usable for other people, so that you can find other users that you didn't think of. So yeah, that's it. And this doesn't work, so. my last push didn't failed, so this doesn't work. But my plan is to share this website later on so that you can play around with some of the the components that I had on the website. So yeah, check out if you follow me on Twitter, I'll share it there as well. So yeah, thank you so much.